So, leather image for the purposes of competing for International Mr. Leather. Let's discuss. Hi folks, I'm the current International Mr. Leather, and I have been giving general advice to people who are looking at competing for International Mr. Leather, for IML, either this year or moving forward. Now, I've already discussed the first physique and stage presence, as well as the interview. So go back to my profile and check it out if you missed those. Now for this one, we're talking leather appearance. Now I will say, not just for this section, but the next two sections after, those only really apply to the people that make top 20. So that means that at this point, between interview and the first physique and stage presence, all the scores will have been tabulated. Only the people who make it in the top 20 of the class get to move on. Which means all of the other stuff that we've discussed happens before the Sunday event. So first physique and stage presence is the Friday, interview is going to be Friday or Saturday. Everything from here on in is going to be on Sunday. So, leather image. What does that even mean? I'll be honest, this is probably the section that I would have the most difficulty really giving advice on. And the reason for that is because it is so personal, not just for you as the contestant, but for the judges as well. So there's no real hard and fast strategy for it, but here's some advice. When we are discussing leather image for the purposes of this contest, what that generally translates to is, what do you feel is the most representative of being an authentic leatherman? So there is a lot of variation in this, right? And on top of that, this section of the contest is so quick that you have the top 20 in a line in their leather attire, attire, and the judges only have time to really go, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There is no real time to really analyze. So it is quick. So with that in mind, when you're putting this look together, here are some things that you should probably prioritize. First, aim for authenticity. That goes for the entire weekend, to be honest. As far as I'm concerned, authenticity really is the name of the game. It is the way to make sure that you can hold your head up high and you are happy with how you did throughout the weekend, win or lose, however you place. So whatever you decide to wear, I highly recommend wearing something that represents who you are in some way. And for some people, the leather image is going to be the same that they wear during their speech that night. That is a personal choice. You can get changed if you want. There is not much time to get changed going into that leather attire, so just keep that in mind. The other thing that you really want to prioritize is attention to detail, because since it is so quickly judged, small stuff like having your boot scuffed, having laces that don't look right, having the wrong belt because it looks weird, that kind of stuff can throw it off, depending on what the judges are really looking for. So attention to detail, very important. So essentially what I recommend you go for is a combination of that authenticity and attention to detail. Here's a couple of examples of what I mean. One of the contestants that I competed alongside, they are a trans individual. So what they did is when they went on for their leather attire look, they had taken off their title sash. They replaced it with a Sam Browne. That is the leather strap that goes here, in the trans pride colors. Just that little pop of color, attention to detail. Hey, this is who I am. Now, for me, my leather image look was the same as my speech look. And again, that is not uncommon. Not a necessity, but it is not uncommon. And for me, I wanted to showcase my being Canadian because I'm very proud of that. So I wore something that was not a recreation of an RCMP uniform, but I wore something that evoked that vibe and that color palette and that look because it is so iconically Canadian, right? So I wanted to wear something that paid tribute to my being Canadian without doing the full uniform as a copy for various reasons. So whatever you wear, make sure it is intentional and it's representative of who you are. Make sure you're paying attention to the little tiny details. Make sure that it is clean. Make sure that it is well conditioned. I recommend befriending a boot black if you have not already. And as far as what the judges are looking for, it varies. If you have a traditional, kind of old guard judge at the table, he might be looking for like a like really regimented kind of classic Tom of Finland look, or a specific like formal leather look. You might have someone more avant-garde on the judging panel and they're looking for something a little bit more creative. You might have a pup that is looking for like a pop of color. You know, it varies. So unfortunately, there is not much that I can give you as far as like solid advice of like, do this, you will do better. Sorry. But what I can say is if you wear something authentically you, and it doesn't feel like you are putting on a costume, but it feels like it's representative of who you are, and you are paying attention to those little details to make sure that what you are wearing is intentional and really well thought out, regardless of how you do, you should feel pretty good about what you present. And I will say, in the grand scheme of things, the points value for leather image also isn't as highly weighted as the other parts of the contest. So if you don't do as well during leather image, that's okay. There's other parts that kind of like have more weight when it comes to how you score. So I hope this helped. Coming up next will be the second physique and stage presence portion, which is a little different than the first one.